Okay, so we're going to do a basic introduction to a linked list. So we're going to do File, New, Project, Visual C Sharp, Console App.NET Framework. Click OK. So let's add the linked list. So we're going to say linked list. Okay. And this is the structure of it. So it's linked list. I'm going to call it my list equals new linked list. Now, one of the things that we have to do is we actually have to give it the type. So we're going to make this linked list a string. So let's do that. And there's our linked list right there. So the linked list is very similar to a list, except that everything works with a node, and then you have extra commands that you can actually use with the linked list. So we're going to add a string to it. Actually, we're going to add like this. We're going to say my list, and we're going to say .add last. Okay, and then we're going to say, just to show that this is actually a string, we'll say AAA. Now, when we want to see it, we're going to go through it with a for each. And we're going to write it out to the console. So we'll add a console.read key so that we actually can keep the console window open. Otherwise the console window will just close. Okay, so let's run this. Now we've added one item to it, AAA, and so we should see that actually print out. And there it is. So notice that we're doing add last. So we're adding it to the end of the list. So we're going to add a few more items. And we'll run it. So there we go. So we have our 3 items. And we did that by adding it to the last, using add last. And as you may have guessed, we have other commands available to us. So we can do, for example, add first. And then we'll add this, and of course, as you can probably guess, it will go in front of this, because we're adding it to the first position. So let's run that. Okay, and there it is. There's the item that we added at the first position. Okay, so I mentioned working with nodes before. So pretty much everything is pretty much a node. So let's actually look at one of the things we can do. So we can do add after, and we can search through the nodes using find. So let's do that. So we're going to do linked list node, and of course it has to be a string because this linked list is a string. And we're going to say node equals, and then we're going to do mylist.find. And we're going to say find BBBB. So we're going to search through the nodes to find BBB. And then after we find it, we're going to do mylist.addAfter. And we have to specify that it's the node that we put into here. Okay. And to show that we're behind it, that we're moving after, we're going to put a 2 here, which will show that we actually got. So we search, we find BBB, which is here. Okay, and then we're going to add after BBB-2. So let's run it and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to click Start, and there it is, the -2, BBB-2, because we did an add after. Okay, so if we run it again, we'll see that the 4 ones, 1, 1, 1, 1, is our first one. So we'll use another command, and we'll say mylist dot remove first. And give it a run. Now, as you can guess, this 1, 1, 1 that we added first should be removed, and it should be deleted. And there it is, it's deleted. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the thing about a linked list is that it grows dynamically. So that's one of the differences, and let's take a look at that. So we're going to do mylist. I'm going to do .count. I'm going to write it to the console. Okay, and let's make it say count is. Okay, and we'll give it a run. So count is 4, so there are 4 items. So if we stop removing the first item, and now we run it, you'll see the count is now 5 items. So this has dynamically grown and shrunk. Okay, so now I've added a second AAA. So there's 3 AAs, 2 AAs, and so what we're going to do is we're going to count them. We're going to get the count of those. So I'm going to say int, and I'll call this found AAs equals mylist.count. Okay, and then we're going to use a lambda. Okay, and we'll write it to the console. Okay, so we'll give it a run. And you can see the AAA count is 2. So there it is, and there it is. And of course, if we add another one, Now we get the count as 3. 1, 2, and 3. So pretty much what we did was we said mylist.count, and if you notice here, we're doing a lambda with a link. Okay. So we're saying that anywhere that s equals AAA, and of course this is like a dynamic variable, anywhere that AAA is found, do the count. And so that's it. That's a basic introduction to linked lists.